As we gather together, we acknowledge that the land upon which our church and homes exist is the ancestral land stolen from the people of the Shoshone-Bannock, the Shoshone-Paiute, Coeur d'Alene, Kootenai, and Nez Perce nations, along with many other tribes whose names have been lost in history. We acknowledge that our presence here today is founded upon the exclusions and erasures of many indigenous peoples. With this acknowledgement, we wish to demonstrate our ongoing commitment to the work of dismantling the legacies of settler colonialism. We honor Indigenous peoples' connection to the land and support their right to sovereignty.
Good morning, all you brave people who set your clocks ahead an hour. That includes you online as well. And we'll be kind to the folks that show up at 11 thinking that it's 10. Welcome to the Boise Unitarian Universalist Fellowship, a community gathered to nurture spiritual growth, real connection, and faithful action for a better world. All who join us in the spirit of curiosity, love, and justice are welcome this morning. Whoever you are, whomever you love, whatever your life's journey, your presence is a blessing. Whether you're here every Sunday, once or twice a year, or here this morning for the very first time, we are so glad you are with us. Our minister, Reverend Sarah Lawal, is off this morning. I am Gwyn Reid, the celebrant for today's service, and I'm joined by Rachel Murphy, sermonizer extraordinaire. Many thanks to today's musicians, Carrie Bastian and Rose Murphy, and Emerson-Paige, our Director of Family Ministries, and Phil Stucker is ably filling in for our AV specialist, Mike Lemieux. And welcome again to those joining us virtually. Please, everyone, turn around and give a nice wave to the camera. We're so glad you're out there, reminding us that our community extends beyond these walls and we all worship together. We know it takes a lot of courage to cross the threshold and to enter into a new community, whether it's in person or online. So to our newcomers, we're especially glad you've joined us today. We invite you to introduce yourself after the service, or for those of you online, you can put your name in the chat, and fill out a newcomer card so we can keep you connected with all that is happening in our fellowship. I have one announcement to highlight for the whole community. Next Sunday, Reverend Sarah will present a session, Beyond Inquirers. If you have completed the Inquirers series and you're looking for a way to deepen your learning and engagement with the congregation, this might be just what you're looking for. Beyond Inquirers is focused on the congregation and you, offering a deeper understanding of how the congregation works and how you can be part of it. It will be after the service next Sunday. Our fellowship donates 25% of our unpledged Sunday offering to support a local organization whose mission aligns with our social justice ministries. For the month of March, it is the Boise Period Project. Boise Period Project creates free period packs for those affected by period poverty in Boise. They believe menstrual equity is for everyone, regardless of race, gender, age, or economic situation. Period. That was kind of a joke. Okay. They gather menstrual products to create period packs for those experiencing period poverty in Boise. And they distribute and connect directly to the community and homeless shelters, and also aim to end the stigmas that surround both periods and poverty. There are many ways you can make a financial gift online or on our website using the Vanco app or in person using the drop boxes that are at either side of the sanctuary. However you choose to give, you nurture our community, and we are grateful. Our spiritual theme for the month is vulnerability. And in this service, Rachel Murphy will help us explore why it's important to push through our vulnerability so we can have vital conversations about universal human experiences. We all have bodies that experience sexual development. We all have to manage resources, and we all have to navigate death. But when it comes to talking about these taboo topics, many of us run the other way. Rachel will help us explore ways to approach these conversations. As we enter into this time of worship, let's take a moment to center ourselves. Let yourself become fully present in your body and in this space. Set aside your duties and concerns for just this time, and let us take a breath together. Just breathe, knowing that your breath connects you to your spiritual center, to each other, and to the planet. As I read today's centering poem, I invite you to think of the thines and thous, these most intimate of pronouns, as addressing your most vulnerable self. Thou art the song of my heart in the morning. Thou art the dawn of truth in my soul. Thou art the dew of the roses adorning. Thou art the woven whole. Thine is the grace to be steadfast in danger. Thine is the peace that none can destroy. Thine is the face of the need-riven stranger. Thine are the wings of joy. Thou art the deep, to the deep in me calling. Thou art a lamp that lights where I tread. Thy way is steep, past the peril of falling. Thou art my daily bread. Thine be the praise of my spirit uplifted. Thou art the sea to each flowing stream. Thine be the days that are gathered and sifted. Thou art the deathless dream. at this hour, in small towns and big cities, in living rooms and sanctuaries, many of our sibling Unitarian Universalists are also lighting a flaming chalice, reminding us that we are part of a great community of faith. Today we have a young chalice lighter with us. We invite a youth or child to light the chalice to recognize the children and youth in our community, our responsibility to them, and the future we're building together. As Rose Murphy lights the chalice here in the sanctuary, I invite those of you in our virtual community to light a chalice, if you have one nearby, along with us. Then share in the chat where your chalice has been lit this morning. With our collective chalices lit in all our spaces, we offer you this call to worship from Amy Russell, chalice lighting in times of conflict. You who feel your heart is breaking, come in.
You who are confused and wondering, come in.
You who are angry, in pain, or not wanting to be here, come in.
You who are hopeful and energized, come in.
Come into this community of your heart, where you have been held in love and comfort, where you have shared your joy and your spirit, where you have asked questions because you felt they needed asking, where you have found friendship and companions, where you have sometimes not agreed and sometimes not felt comforted and sometimes not felt heard.
Bring your broken heart and your grief. Share them.
Bring your confusion and your questions. Share them.
Bring your anger and your pain. Share them.
Bring your hope and your energy. Share them.
For here in this place, we can be together. We can gather in all the conflicting emotions tumbling around in our heads and our hearts. We bring them together and lay them on the altar of community. For community means that vulnerable, not perfect human beings can come together in the name of peace and seek to find peace again.
Peace.
Vulnerability.
Healing.
Come, let us worship together.
As we come into our time for all ages, I'd like to invite the children or the young at heart in the room to come join us up at the front to watch Jem share today's story on video. Our story this morning is Worry Box by Suzanne Chu and Sean Julian. It will help us explore tools we have to address difficult feelings and conversations. Let's listen.
The Worry Box by Suzanne Chu and illustrator Sean Julian. High up on his thinking spot, Murray Bear looked out across the valley. "There you are," called his sister Molly. "Time for lunch." Murray sighed. "I'm not hungry." This made Molly giggle. "You're always hungry. Come on, or we'll be late meeting Oliver at the waterfall." Murray sniffled. I don't want to go. What if the waterfall is too loud? What if it is so big that I get swept away? Molly squeezed Murray tight. Waterfalls are big and loud, but they're also beautiful. Murray asked, I won't get whisked away? Molly firmly said, not with me to hold your paw. Besides, sharing worries always makes them feel smaller. And the two bears held paws as they headed home. After lunch, Molly had a secret to share. She smiled and said, This is my worry box. When I'm worried about something, I write it down, then put it inside. Murray asked, Does it make your worries go away? Molly replied, No, but when my worries are in the box, they don't stop me from having fun. Let's make one for you. Worrying won't stop me, cheered Murray, dropping his worry into the box and shutting the lid tight. Molly asked, Are you ready? Murray nodded, Ready. Skipping along the riverbank, the bears spotted dragonflies dancing above their heads. Almost there, said Molly. Murray stopped skipping and sighed. There, sparkling in the sunlight, was the rumbling, tumbling waterfall. Murray gasped, Wow, it is so big. Molly cried out, Look, Murray, it's Oliver. Murray took a deep breath and decided, Let's go and let's play. Murray, Molly, and Oliver were busy counting fish when they heard a voice behind them. Hello there, called a rabbit Murray had never met before. Oliver beamed. This is my friend Lily. Suddenly, Murray felt very shy. Lily and Oliver scampered back across the water. Lily climbed to the top of the rocks. She announced, I want to go higher, while she looked up at an oak tree. Let's climb to the top. The friends raced off, all except Murray, who had started to worry. He wanted to join in, but his tummy felt tight. And then he remembered, my worry box. Thinking about what Molly had said, he quickly wrote down his worries. I'm worried that Lily won't like me. I'm worried that I'm not a very good climber. I'm worried that everyone will laugh at me. He exclaimed, Worrying won't stop me, as he closed the box and dashed off to the tree. Ooh, this page is sideways. We're looking at the bears as they climb the tree, the rabbits in the branches above. They see a family of owls in a hole. Up, up, Murray climbed. Hurry, climb higher, called Lily. You can see everything. But Murray had found something wonderful, a hole in the tree, and inside was a nest of fluffy owl chicks. Wow, he said softly. All afternoon, the friends played and swam until it was time to go. Oh no, Molly cried, I lost my backpack. The friends looked high and low until they found the backpack, hidden at the water's edge. Just in time, said Oliver, the sun is starting to set. Lily squeaked in a panic, Hurry, we have to go home. Oliver asked, Why? What's wrong? Lily's lip trembled. We won't be able to see where we're going. We'll be late for bedtime, and I don't like the dark. Murray held Lily's paw. Sharing worries makes them feel smaller, not as scary, he told her. See, I keep mine in a special box. He gave her a scrap of paper and a pencil, and smiled and said, You can put yours in here too. Lily stayed by Murray's side as they walked through the woods. Follow the fireflies, Murray said. They're like night lights to show us the path. Eek! Lily squeaked as an owl hooted overhead. Murray whispered, It's okay. It's just Mr. Owl saying goodnight. Soon they reached Lily's house. Just in time for bed, Oliver beamed. Good night, everyone, said Lily, and thank you, Murray, for being such a good friend. High up on his thinking spot, Murray stood with Molly and looked out across the valley. Thank you for taking me to the waterfall, said Murray. Molly asked, it wasn't too big or too loud? Murray giggled. It was both, and it was so much fun. I can't wait until we go again.
In the spirit of the fact that sharing our worries, having these hard conversations, makes those worries feel smaller, our children and youth this Sunday are going to explore tools to have those conversations and to kind of contain those worries. We'll be making Worry Box with the children. Youth, you'll be having a cool adventure. Children 5 years old to 5th grade will join me this way. Youth 6th grade through 12th grade, that way. So long.
May your mind be open to new learning. May your lips bring truth into the world. May your heart know love and your hands do the work of justice as you go your way in peace. As you go your way in peace.
One of these days they'll stick around and hear the whole song. Each week, we take time to acknowledge the many joys among us and to grieve our many sorrows and losses so that we might lift that burden for each other and receive the blessings of this community. A reminder that you can submit your joys and sorrows online each week through the link in our worship email and on our website. Our virtual community continues to share joys and sorrows in the chat, and we combine our collective joys and sorrows every month and share them in a community-wide email. It is through our sharing with one another that we forge deep bonds of community and connection. If you are holding someone in your heart this morning, I invite you to speak their name out loud in this community of love, that we may hold them with you. May the arms of this community hold all our joys and sorrows, those named and those that remain silent, close to our hearts. May we feel the grace that surrounds us and be transformed by the spirit of life and love, with warmth to celebrate our joys and with gentleness to soothe our aching hearts. I invite you to breathe again with me. Fill your body with breath. Breathe into this sacred space. Breathe with this beloved community filled with loving kindness. Breathe with wholeheartedness. Listen to what is calling you in the silence. Today's reading is excerpted from Vulnerability, A State of Grace by Robin Easton. Vulnerability is a natural, inherent state of being, a cornerstone to authentic, open-hearted connections. These connections are rarely made with tidy concepts and reason, nor are they made with attempts to enlighten each other or to be seen as wise and spiritual. These vulnerable connections are made by opening the heart. They are made by being open to imperfections, fears, idiosyncrasies, shame, fluctuations in emotions and decisions, and seeing these vulnerable feelings as a state of grace. They are made by opening to the humanity in you and me. Love, both self-love and love of other, is the only healthy way to meet vulnerability. Somewhere deep inside, we long to reveal our beautiful hearts, hearts that might be marred by dark pain, grievous mistakes, hidden shame and fear. Nonetheless, we are starved for connection, whether we realize it or not. Without connection, something within us withers. No matter what is happening in our lives, whether clear or confused, healthy or sick, proud or shameful, vulnerability is essential for deep wisdom, sustained beauty and grace, essential for unlimited creativity and thrilling vitality. Being able to sit with vulnerability is a fundamental part of who we are. It speaks directly to our ability to communicate and commune with all facets of life. Wholeness is the very nature of vulnerability. There is no need to change it, fix it, analyze it, or enlighten it. This ancient primal force is hardwired in us. It inherently knows what it is doing. It is a force like the natural flow of water, a river of emotion already headed back to the sea, something it has done for thousands of years. We need only relax, open the dam, and let the river flow. Although at first it might feel frightening, our yearning heart hungers to feel our own inherent healing beauty. Vulnerability is not a weakness. It is an essential core strength. There is no pretense, no veils, no bullshit, only the piercingly exposed soul of life. Being vulnerable opens the way to healing emotions, deep wisdom, profound connection, and most of all, love. When we allow ourselves and others to be vulnerable, we remember who we really are. We embrace intimate and sacred wisdom, an ancient, common knowing. We touch the divine.
I invite you to get comfortable in your seats or wherever you are at home, as comfortable as you can. I am going to start by telling you 3 stories that might make you a little bit less comfortable. As I tell you these stories, I invite you to tune in to how your body reacts. Feel free to close your eyes if you like. I know it's early, try not to fall asleep. I'm going to ask you afterwards how you felt. Not expecting anybody to share, but just to notice within yourself. Story number 1. You're 15. You're sitting at a restaurant, the Olive Garden, say, across from your boyfriend, girlfriend, or friend plus, however you might identify them. This is a person who smells good, who gives you those butterfly feelings, and has a car. You have had a grand time sharing your never-ending pasta bowl and unlimited signature breadsticks with marinara dipping sauce. Your friend plus has made you laugh. You've made them laugh. You've successfully avoided splattering marinara sauce on your shirt. You've successfully avoided getting parsley from the breadsticks stuck in your teeth. You are feeling good. As you finish your tiramisu, you start thinking about what you hope will happen, believe will happen, because it's happened every other time. When your friend plus drives you home and walks you to your front door to say goodnight. I won't fill in what that is. You can leave that to your imagination. As you're thinking these thoughts, the server brings the check. Being egalitarian kind of people, you and your friend plus have already agreed that you are going to split it. You tear yourself away from staring into the eyes of your friend plus and hoist your massive purse up onto the table to get out your wallet. As you reach in and pull out your wallet, you feel something brush against your wrist. Some kind of a tube. Was it a pen? It was lodged against your wallet and it has now plopped out on the table. What was that thing, you wonder? Still smiling from the high of the pasta bowl and the breadsticks and the tiramisu and the thought of what comes next. But then you look and you see the telltale white plastic wrapper with the swirly floral design and the easy open perforation. Oh God, no. You drop your wallet, you grab the tampon, and you fling it into your purse. You look at your friend plus. Did they see? They did see. They are smirking. What was that? They ask. You look down. I don't know, you say. They smirk harder. You don't know? No. How can you not know? I don't know, you say. Story number 2. You're middle-aged now and sitting at your desk at work, a law office, say. Your colleague comes in, closes your door, sits down in your visitor chair, and sighs. They said no to the raise, she says. What? You say. Why? They said it's more than they're paying anyone else at our level. How much did you ask for? She tells you. It is less than they are paying you at the same level. That's doo-doo, you say. You don't actually say doo-doo. I will leave what you really said to your imagination. You tell her how much they're paying you. Maybe they forgot, you say. You encourage her to go back and try asking again. The next day, you're sitting at your desk at work. One of the managing partners comes in, closes your door, sits down in your visitor chair. Have you been telling the other attorneys what you make? He asks. Yes. He sighs. When we made you that offer, we told you it was confidential. Don't go talking about it with the others. It just stirs up trouble. Oh, you say, I didn't know. Story number 3. You're still middle-aged, and now you're a parent. You have a cat, a tabby cat, say, with sweet little white paws. This cat has deigned to live with you since before your child was born. This cat sleeps in your child's bed every night, curled up at your child's feet. Your child has more than once asked you to confirm that this cat will not die, ever, because your child tells you she would be sad forever if that happened. Every time your child asks you to confirm that your cat will not die, if not ever, at least for a really long time, you say something like, "Oh, don't worry, she's only 6. Cats usually live until they're at least 16. Your cat does not live until she is 16. I will leave to your imagination why. As you leave the crematorium, your child is crying. An attendant touches her shoulder and says, "Don't worry, your cat is happy. She's enjoying chasing butterflies in a field." The attendant moves on, and your child looks up at you, amazed and smiling. "When can we go visit her in this field?" You say. That's where I'm going to end my stories for now. We're going to revisit them later. But I invite you to bring your awareness now back into the room and take a moment to notice or to think back about how you felt. How did your body react as I told those stories? Was there any moment when your heart raced? Did your face flush? Or maybe you felt a tightness in your gut or your jaw. Maybe a couple of the stories felt like no big deal, but then that one. For me, it's that tampon falling out of your purse. Even now, after I have actually given birth to a violist, that idea of the tampon falling out of my purse in front of that person just still makes me flush. Our instincts tell us to run away from anything that causes us discomfort. And our culture has taught us that certain topics, our sexual bodies, our financial situation, the reality of death, these are meant to be uncomfortable. These are simply not to be discussed with anyone but your doctor, your accountant, and maybe your God. Perhaps for some of you, this is not true. Perhaps you have no problem talking with your family about menstruation, talking with friends about your annual income, or talking with a grieving child about death. If that's you, I tip my hat to you. And as you listen, you can substitute whatever topic it is that you do find taboo. And then humor the rest of us as we blush our way through this sermon. So why am I making us blush our way through this sermon? What harm does it do to just not talk about these things? In the grand scheme of things, these micro moments a rogue tampon, a law associate's salary negotiation, the death of a cat. These don't seem like big deals. But avoiding these micro moments impacts ourselves, our beloveds, and our larger society in macro ways. For us as individuals, running away from these micro moments strengthens the taboo in our minds and reinforces shame and fear around these topics. Shame about the messy, weird stuff that comes out of our bodies and alerts the world that we are sexual beings. Fear that our financial situation will be taken as a proxy for our personal value. Fear of being overwhelmed by our own or someone else's pain if we have to face death head on. Like microaggressions, the more we run away from tackling these micro embarrassments, the more this avoidance response becomes a conditioned response, like a super highway that our brain wants to go down. Then what happens when it's not a tampon, but a condom that you don't want to talk about? This shame and fear that we feel within ourselves around these topics also impacts others in ways that we may not realize as we are fastly running the other way. In his book, Finding the Words, writer and director Colin Campbell relates how, after his 2 teenage children were killed in a car accident, his friends struggled with how to talk to him. Almost everyone landed on what he calls the same unfortunate solution. There are no words. But rather than saving him from more pain, as his friends probably hoped, this seemingly benign phrase left him feeling isolated and alone, by shutting down all opportunity for moving through grief. He needed to talk about his children. He needed to hear their names. He needed to talk about his pain. It was, he writes, the emotional equivalent of being impaled on a spear. It would be bizarre to have a conversation with someone in which they didn't ask about the blade jutting out of my back or the blood pouring down my chest. When we avoid talking about the blood, whether that is the pain of someone grieving a death, the fear of someone who is afraid they're going to be overwhelmed by debt, or the panic of a person who finds themselves in a bathroom stall without a pad and no way to get one. We deprive those who are experiencing these universal human challenges of the opportunity for connection, for information, for healing, and a path to wholeness. And then we find ourselves on a societal level reinforcing the structures that disproportionately impact those who most need that connection. When we shy away from talking about menstruation, we end up with millions of low-income menstruators lacking menstrual products. This lack impacts their health, access to education, ability to work, and reinforces the cycle of poverty. When we are too uncomfortable to talk with our coworkers about what we make, we end up with serious disparities in pay, often which are based on race and gender. And when we avoid talking about death, we end up ignoring the markedly higher infant, maternal, and other premature mortality rates among Black Americans and other people of color in our community, and the impact that these early losses have on them and their families. This is why talking about taboo topics is a spiritual task. It is a task of opening ourselves to vulnerability and facing our shame so that we may cultivate empathy, empower others by sharing our knowledge, and create a safe space for everyone to find support. How do we start to have these conversations? I don't have all the answers, but I have some suggestions. Just start by noticing. Notice what topics feel taboo to you. What topics does your body want to run away from? It may not be any of the ones I'm talking about today. It may be all of them. Just notice what happens to your body when you even think about bringing this up with someone. Noticing is the first step. Then you can identify safe people to practice with. Just practice talking. These might be your own trusted people, people who trust you, or people whom you might be able to help, who have reached out to you and asked. Think about what your goals are in having this conversation. Think about the good that might come of it for you, for the person you're talking with, for changing the way that our society approaches these topics. And you can ask yourself, what's the worst that could happen? If you want to, you can write it down and put it in your worry box, like the story that we heard earlier. Be prepared for a range of reactions, but don't necessarily let them stop you from talking about it. And then just sit down, take a deep breath, and just start using your words. In closing, I'm going to circle back to the stories that I started with. What might it look like for the unnamed protagonist in those stories to step into vulnerability and talk about the taboo? What was that? It was a tampon. I have my period. It happens every month. Have I been talking to others about what I make? Yes. It's our livelihood. It's our right to share this information. When can we go visit her? We can't. She is not chasing butterflies in a field. She is gone. But let's celebrate what we loved about her. Do you remember that time she hid in your suitcase and we almost took her on vacation? Let's talk. Let's laugh. Let's cry. Let's be human. Thank you. We're going to move into a time for prayer or meditation. Please join me in that spirit. This is adapted from the poem Gentleness in Living by the Reverend Richard S. Gilbert. Spirit of life, help us to be gentle with one another. We hear a cry from the lives of people battered by thoughtless words and brutal deeds. It comes from the lips of those who speak the thoughtless words and the lives of those who do those brutal deeds. Who of us can look inside another and know what is there of hope or hurt or promise and pain? Who can know from what far places each has come, or to what far places each may hope to go? Our lives are like fragile eggs. They crack, and the substance escapes. Handle with care. Handle with exceedingly tender care. For there are human beings within, human beings as vulnerable as we are, who feel as we feel, who hurt as we hurt. Life is too transient to be cruel with one another. It is too short for thoughtlessness, too brief for hurting. Life is long enough for caring. It is lasting enough for sharing, precious enough for love. Let us be gentle with one another. Amen.
Careful the things you say, children will listen. Careful the things you do, children will see and learn. Children may not obey, but children will listen. Children will look to you for which way to turn, to learn what to be. Careful before you say, listen to me. Children will listen. Careful the wish you make, wishes are children, wishes are children. Careful the path they take, wishes come true, not free. Careful the spell you cast, not just on children. Sometimes the spell may last past what you can see and turn against you. Careful the tale you tell, that is the spell. Children will listen. Careful before you say, listen to me. Children will listen.
Friends, I invite you to place your hands over your hearts for our closing blessing from Reverend Joan Johnson Lewis. May we have the courage to open ourselves to the pleasures and wounds of life. May we have the strength to be open and honest with ourselves and others, even when it is difficult. May we have the wisdom to understand that when we travel through the mist of uncertainty, openness and vulnerability make it more possible to find the way through the mist. To be open and vulnerable is to be alive. We extinguish the flame of our chalice, but not our hope for the future, our courage in the face of crisis, or the love we share in the world. Blessed are we all. Go in peace. It went down in there. So we'll have to put a theme. Yes. Oh, I thought, God, I thought that was